शुक्लां भरतरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करभावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करध्वजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन्। हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरनभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചനാനിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനോ മഞ്ഞാനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോറും രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the class. All right, so I think we have to do a review of 56 and 57 and 58 up to 1 to 7, right? Okay.
Krishna Rajesh, I can do 57.
Okay, yeah, I was going to call you and concur. You can go 57 and Padmaja Ramesh, can you do 58 and the first 7 stanzas?
Dasakam 57, Pralambasuravatah. रामसखः क्वापि दिने कामद भगवन् गतो भवान् विपिनम् सूनुभिरपि गोपानां धेनुभिरपि संवृतो लसद्वेषः सन्दर्शयन् बलाय स्वैरं वृन्दावनश्रियं विमलां काण्डीरैः सह बालैः बाण्डीरकमागमो वटं क्रीडन् तावत्तावकनिधनः गोपमूर्तिरदयाळुः दैत्यः प्रलम्बनामा प्रलम्बबाहुं भवन्तमापेदे जानन्नप्यविजानन्निव तेन समं निबद्धसौहार्दः वटनिकटे पव्याबद्धं द्वन्द्वयुद्धमारब्धाः गोपान् विभज्य तन्वन् सङ्घं बलभद्रकं भवत्कमपि त्वद्बलभीरुं दैत्यं त्वद्बलगतमन्यथा भगवन् कल्पितविजेतृवहने समरे परयोतघं स्वदयिततरं श्रीदामनामा दत्ताः पराजितो भक्तदासतां व्रतयन्.
When you go the second line, first word, Shridamanam Adattaha.
Okay. श्रीदामानम् अदत्ताः पराजितो भक्तदासतां व्रतयन् एवं बहुषु विभूमन् बालेषु वहत्सु वह्यमानेषु रामविजितः प्रलम्बो जहारतं दूरतो भवद्भीत्या त्वद्दूरं गमयन्तं तं दृष्ट्वा हलिनि विहित गरिमभरे दैत्यस्वरूपमागाद् यद्रूपात् सहि बलोऽपि चकितोऽभूत् उच्चतया दैत्यतनोः त्वन्मुखमालोक्य दूरतो रामः विगतभयो दृढमुष्ट्य वृषदुष्टं सपदि पिष्टवानेनं हत्वा दानववीरं प्राप्तं बलमालिलिङ्ग्य प्रेम्णा तावन्मिलितयोर्वयोः शिरसि कृता पुष्पवृष्टिरमरगणैः.
That's the first line. First line. Praptam Balam Alilingita. Alilingita. And then that Yuva Yoho Visarga becomes a ish sound. Okay. Yuva Yosh.
Okay. आलम्बो भुवनानां प्रलम्बं निधनमेव मारचयन् कालं विहाय सद्यो लोलम्बरुचे हरेः हे क्लेशान्.
First word like something like you said something
आलम्बो भुवनानां.
Bhunana. Okay, correct. Yeah, pralambam. I think that word.
आलम्बो भुवनानां प्रालम्भं निधनमेव मारचयन्. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
श्री कृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः. श्रीमन्नारायणीय अष्टपञ्चाशं दशकं दावाग्निमोक्षादिवर्णनम्. त्वयि विहरणलोले बालजालैः प्रलम्बप्रमथनसविलम्बे धेनवस्वैरचाराः तृणकुतुकनिविष्टा दूरदूरं चरन्त्यः किमपि विपिनं मैषी काक्यमीशां बभूवुः अनधिगतनिदाघक्रौर्यवृन्दावनान्तात् बहिरिदमुपयाता काननं धेनवस्ताः तव विरह विषण्णाः ऊष्मलग्रीष्मताप प्रसर विसरदम्भस्याकुलास्तम्भमापुः तदनु सहसहायैर्दूरम् अन्विष्य शौरे गलितसरणिमुञ्जारण्यसञ्जातखेदम् पशुकुलम् अभिवीक्ष्य क्षिप्रम् आनेतुम् आरात् त्वयि गतवती हि सर्वतोऽग्निर्जृम्भे सकलहरिति दीप्ते घोरभाङ्गारभीमे शिखिनि विहतमार्गा अर्धदग्धा इवार्ताः अहह भुवनबन्धो पाहि पाहीति सर्वे शरणमुपगतास्त्वां तापहर्तारमेकम् अलमलमतिभीत्या सर्वतो मीलयध्वं वृषमिति तव वाचा मीलिताक्षेषु तेषु क्वनुदवदहनोऽसौ कुत्र मुञ्जाटवीसा सबदि ववृतिरेते हन्त भाण्डीरदेशे जय जय तव माया केयमीशेति तेषां नुतिभिरुतिथः सो बद्धनानाविलास पुनरपि विपिनान्ते प्राचरः पाटलादि प्रसवनिकरमात्र ग्राह्य घर्मानुभावे त्वयि विमुखमिवोच्चैस्तापभारं वहन्तम् तव भजन वदन्तः पङ्कम् उच्छोषयन्तम् तव भुजवदुदञ्जद् भूरि तेजः प्रवाहम् तपसमयमनैषीर्यामुनेषु स्थलेषु श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः.
Okay, so we'll continue from 8. Jyoti Dev, you can be a student, and Nalini, you can be a student. तदनु जलदजालैस्त्वद्वपुस्तुल्यभाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः. We saw last time around, like the forest fire which had come, and then how they had recovered from the forest fire. And then it was kind of wrapping up saying, this way the whole summer season, you all spent along with Krishna, and then, that made you feel less warmer, hotter. So the rest of the stanzas is just kind of wrapping up all the other seasons, saying, so next the rainy season comes. She says, okay, Krishna, like I've said several times before, the moment you see a rain anytime in the future and you see dark gray clouds up, it should remind you of Krishna, because that's what they say in every single thing. Here he says, Krishna, when the rainy season comes, when the autumn season comes, the moment everybody sees those dark, rain-bearing clouds, it reminds them of you, because it's like you are walking and you're merging along with that rain clouds which are there as well. And in the rainy season, naturally, they still have to go to grace, but, in this rainy season, you used to go to the caves of Govardhana, which used to protect you and the cows and everybody from the rain. And that's where you used to spend your time. Tadanu jalada jalais twadvapus tulya bhabihi, visargan comma. Next on that V, there is a ir that will go away. Vikasad amala vidyut pitavaso vilasaihi. With that dark color of yours and with the dark rain-bearing clouds in the background, when you wear this pita chelam, when you're wearing a yellow garment, it just looks like how a lightning strikes in the sky and suddenly the dark gray clouds, get some light with the lightning. Similarly, when you are dark in color and you're wearing this pitambaram, it looks like a lightning has hit the clouds. Sakala bhuvana bhajam harshadam varshavelam, kshitidhara kuhareshu swairavasi vyanaishihi. Tadanu jalada jalaiस्त्वद्वपुस्तुल्य bhabihi vikasadamal vidyut pitavaso vilasaihi sakala bhuvana bhajam harshadam varshavelam kshitidhara kuhareshu swairavasi vyanaishihi.
तदनु जलदजालैत्वद्वपुस्तुल्यभाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः तदनु जलदजालै त्वद्वपुस्तुल्यबाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः
तदनु जलदजालैस्त्वदपुस्तुल्यभाभिः विद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः तदनु जलदजालैस्त्वदपुस्तुल्यभाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः.
Anika, that first line, Tvad Vapus. I think you are saying Tvada, you are saying that it's it sound only. Tvad Vapus. Okay. Answer 9. Kuharatala Tvam Garishtham Girindraha Shikikula Navakeka Kakubestotrakari Sputa Jakadamba Stoma Pushpanjalim Cha Prabidhadanubheje Deva Govardhanosau. It's just like how we have to imagine Bhagavan in the cavity of our heart, and then we offer him flowers, and then we offer him stotram and stutis and songs and everything. He says, similarly, the Govardhana mountain also does the same thing. It talks about how, like, if you imagine the Govardhana mountain and you imagine a cave which is in there, and Krishna being inside that cave, so it feels like it's a cavity in your heart where Bhagavan is sitting. And then how we offer pushpam, similarly, the Govardhana mountain has trees. So it is offering, Kutaja, Kadamba, so all different kinds of flowers. So all the flowers which are following is Archana that the Govardhana mountain is doing to Bhagavan. And then the singing or whatever stuti prayers we do, he says peacocks and all the animals which are roaming there are singing it for Krishna. So it feels like in that season, Krishna, when you were sitting in Govardhana mountain is worshipping you, because that's why Govardhana mountain is so special. Just like Tiruvannamalai, which is there in South India, Govardhana mountain is special because Krishna lived there, he's walked on it, and that mountain is blessed, because later on Krishna is going to lift it as well. So, Kuhara Tala Nivishtam Tvam Garishtham Girindraha, Shiki Kula Nava Keka Kakubihi, put is Kakubis Stotrakari, long E, Sputa Kutaja Kadamba Stoma Pushpanjalim Cha, next one I'm just going to break at the Da Pravidadhat. So there are 3 Das which are coming there. Second Da, first Da in Sanskrit, second Da in Sanskrit, another first Da. So the third Da which is coming, we're going to break it into a It and a A. So Pravidadhat Anubheje, it's easy to say that way. Deva Govardhanosau. Kuharatala Nivishtam Tvam Garishtham Girindraha Shikikula Navakeka Kakubestotrakari Sputa Jakadamba Stoma Pushpanjalim Cha Pravidhadadanubheje Deva Govardhanosau.
कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेका काकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुडजगदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रवितदनुबेजे देवगोवर्धनोऽसौ कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेका काकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुडजकदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रविददनुभेजे देवगोवर्धनोऽसौ.
ராஜேஷ் ஜி, இந்த கிரீந்திரஹா வந்து கரிஷ்டம்க்கு அப்புறமா வச்சுக்கணுமா?
துவாம் கரிஷ்டம் கிரீந்திரஹா.
ஓகே, எங்க புக்ல வந்து துவாம் கரிஷ்டம் ஷிகிகுல கிரீந்திரஹான்னு கொடுத்துருக்கு.
இல்ல, கரிஷ்டம் கிரீந்திரஹா, and then shikikula.
Oh,
where Shikikula refers to peacock.
Correct.
Garishtham Girindraha refers to the Giri Indra, which is in mountains, Govardhana mountain, and Garishtham is like a great. So yeah, that has to be together. Tvam garishtam girindraha.
Oh, okay.
ஓ
Then I'll have
என்னோட
to
புக்ல
strike
அதே
out
மாதிரி
that.
தான் இருக்கு.
Okay, okay. So just switch
And
that, you know.
oh,
ஓகே.
நவகேகா தான் வரும் இல்லையா? ஷிக்கிகுலாக்கு அப்புறம் நவகேகா.
Navakeka, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेकाकाकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुटजगदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रतिददधनुबेजे देवगोवर्धनोऽसौ कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेकाकाकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुटजगदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रविदधदनुभेजे देवगोवर्धनोऽसौ
Certain. अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् घाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्. Wrapping up this chapter. So after that, then the spring season comes. So the spring season is the water of Yamuna on all the lakes and all the streams which are coming from Govardhana is filled with fresh stream water. He says, Guru Arpa, this is like, the clear, fresh minds of your devotees. Like it is amalam. Malam means dirt. Amalam means no dirt, pure. So he says, this waters of the streams are pure, like the pure heart of your devotees. So of course, in the spring season, when all the vegetation is growing, naturally you are spending all your time grazing in this thing along with the cows. So with that kind of just wrapping up this chapter. So with this Guru Arpa, please eradicate. Give me deha saukyam. Give me like good health. Ata sharadam upetam tam bhavat bhakta cheto, put a plus, vimala salila puram manayan kananeshu. So those two things together. Trinamamala vanante charu sancharayan ghaha, comma, pavanapurapate tvam dehi me deha saukhyam. अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरा मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्.
अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपुरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्. अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपुरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्.
अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्. अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Next one, very beautiful Dashakam 59. So from here, little bit through 59 through 69, except for like a few chapters in between, is really going to be circling around the Gopikas, like a lot of it around activities, some except most chapters. So, but this one 59 is Venu Gana Varnanam, which is Krishna playing the flute. So this whole chapter, Bhagavatam, of course, has lots of stanzas devoted to it. So one might wonder what is great about Krishna playing the flute. Why is there so much, importance given to it, right? So we'll see some of that in this chapter. உங்களுக்கு ஒரு மெசேஜ் அனுப்பிச்சு அது மட்டும் பாருங்க in a minute. Send it to your WhatsApp. Stanza 1. त्वद्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः. It talks about every day. So this is every day Krishna, when the Gopikas of all age, because then later on in Dashakam 60, we're going to see a certain category of Gopikas. So here this talks about all Gopikas in general. Every time they look at you, Krishna, you look like Nava Kalaya Komalam. Kalaya is blue lily flower. So it is as if like a fresh blue lily flower has come. So it's like dark bluish, grayish, that flower. You always look fresh and always like that. And looking at you, just by looking at you, they all fall in love. And this love could be any kind of love, doesn't matter. But you're just such a loving face and loving features of you. And they say very clearly, Tvad Vapu, just looking at you, not like, you have a great relationship with someone, your child, so you love them. Just by looking at you, they just fall in love because naturally you are that supreme consciousness bliss who has taken a form, right? Like we saw in the Dashakam 52 when the Brahma took away all the gopas and the calves and everything, and when Krishna became the individual boys and the calves, everybody fell in love, right, with that person, because when that supreme bliss has taken a human form, it's natural that that is the highest level of bliss one can attain, is just being around Krishna, which is what was happening. So everybody was falling in love with you and they just absolutely loved being with you. Tvad Vapur Nava Kalaya Komalam, Prema Dohanam Ashesha Mohanam Brahma Tattva Parachin Mudatmakam, Vikshya Sammumuhuranvaham. You can say it together. Sammumuhuranvaham Striyaha. Twadvapur Navakalaya Komalam Prema Dohanamashesha Mohanam Brahma Tattva Parachin Mudatmakam Vikshya Sammumuhuranvaham Striyaha.
त्वद्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः त्वद्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः
त्वद्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः त्वद्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः.
Sansatum Manmatonmatita Kramatet Twadvilokanaratastatastatah Gopikastavanasihire Hare Kananopagatimapyahar Mukhe. So because they were always in love with you, they always kept thinking about you. They always wanted to see you all the time because you want to be close to the person who you love the most, right? So anytime Krishna, you used to leave, right? They used to always begin to feel the pangs of separation. They used to feel very, very worried and concerned about it. So that's true devotion and love here, where they say that anytime it's more like they say sometimes, you let the bird go free and if the bird comes back it'll love you, kind of thing. So here they says that anytime Krishna you leave, even to graze the cows, you leave for the day, they begin to feel very upset about it. So that is, it says, there's a union, like we talk about, like yoga means a union, right? So there is a union which is when people are together, right? We are with somebody, you are in union with somebody. That is when the Krishna is with the Gopikas. There is also something called as a viraha. Viraha means separation. So it says the love that comes when you're separated from your most beloved person is more than being with that person, because that is the amount of intense love that these Gopikas feel when Krishna leaves them even for a day to go to graze the cows. Manmathon matita manasaha, put a ich, manasah kramat. You'll have a double it there. So one of the its you put a comma, kramat. Next word will start with the other it. Tvad bilokana rathas tatas tatah gopikas tava na sehire hare, comma kananopagatim. So that ma I'm breaking. Kananopagatim apyaharmukhe. मन्मथोन्मथितमानसाः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसेहिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे
मन्मथोन्मथितमानसाः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरदास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसेहिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे मन्मथोन्मथितमानसः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरदास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसेहिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे
मन्मथोन्मथितमानसाः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसेहिरे हरि काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे मन्मथोन्मथितमानसाः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसेहिरे हरि काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे
Panchati. निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगेक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे. Krishna, then when you used to go to grace in the mornings and then you used to enter the forest, so morning times in the forest, it has the sounds of all the birds and the animals which are actually moving there. You are walking on the leaves, that sound is coming, the bees are humming. So amongst all these sound, Krishna, you then start playing your flute. So when you start playing your flute for the gopikas, it's like up to a particular point, they can see you. So when you are leaving, they keep watching you until you leave. And then beyond a particular point, they still can hear you playing the flute. So that is still their connection with you because they can still start hearing your flute. And after that point, you have gone into the forest. They cannot hear you. But anyway, it talks about how the flute sound you use, the one that Krishna plays, a special vibration that the Gopikas can see. It is Krishna who is still playing the flute as he's entering into the forest. And once you go into the forest where they can no longer hear your flute, even then they're constantly talking about your activities and what you used to do. So this way the gopikas were always engaged and always thinking about you.
Rajesh,
Ah.
this question might be stupid, I don't know. I've always been curious, is Vrindavan forest one of the Sattvic forests where there are no lions and tigers, jackals?
Generally, Adapati, there is no mention. Right? Now, the original Vrindavanam forest was like a tulsi tree forest. So I don't know if it had anything to do with that, right? So it was not like the forest as in the other tiger forest, which is in North India, right? So it's not quite like that, right? So forest and நிறைய trees, so அந்த மாதிரி forest அப்படினா. But because there are no mention of any lion or tiger or any incident coming in any of those things. So nirgate bhavati datta drishtayah, that is goes away, visarga comma. Tvat gatena manasa mrigekshanah venu nadam upakarnya duratah, that is goes away, visarga comma duratah. Tvat vilasa kathayabhiremire. It's one word. Nirgate bhavati datta drishtayah त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगेक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे.
निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगीक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे. निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगीक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे.
निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगीक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे. निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगीक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे
काननान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्यया कलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम्. It's a very beautiful stanza. I have to chant. I'm going to chant one stanza from Srimad Bhagavatam and give you the context behind this stanza, right? So I'm going to look this way. बर्हापीतं नटवरवपुः कर्णयोर्कर्णिकारं बिभ्रद्वासः कनककपिशं वैजयन्तीं च मालां रन्ध्रान् वेणोरधरसुदया पूरयन् गोपवृन्दैः वृन्दारण्यं स्वपदरमणं प्राविशद्गीतकीर्तिः. So I'll give you a context behind this. So when Vedavyasa had written all the Vedas, he had distributed it to all of his disciples to go spread it. And then he had this big Purana called as Srimad Bhagavatam, which he didn't have a right person to give it to. So his son Shuka Brahmam was already an enlightened soul. He had already he was like, a Paramahamsa. He didn't have attachment to anything. So he had left house and then he was just sitting in the forest meditating and he didn't care about anything. So how can you give a great thing like this to somebody who doesn't care about anything in the world? It has to be somebody who's passionate about something, right? And Shukabrahman was not passionate about anything. So Vyasa then told his students that, you go to the forest, look for this boy. My boy is sitting somewhere, 16 years old, meditating somewhere in the forest. You have to bring him back. So the student said, I can't go to the forest because the forest where Shukabrahman is sitting, there are all these wild animals and all of these things which are sitting. How can we go? Because we are going to get eaten. So Vyasa tells us one stanza from Srimad Bhagavatam and tells them, keep chanting this stanza and go. No animals will come near you, right? It will just stop for you. So the students then memorize this stanza and then they keep going to the forest. They keep saying this and they see that no animal approaches them or it is becoming timid. It just calms down and it stops, right? So that's because this is the description of this. So then when they're going, suddenly Shuka Brahmam hears this, these people singing this. And then he opens his eyes, is coming out of his samadhi state, listening to this and says, what is this? Who's saying this? Right? And then this boy says, oh, your father, Vedavyasa is the one who has composed or compiled this, right? And then he wants you to come. So when Shuka Brahmam heard this, he comes out of his samadhi in his meditation and comes to Vyasa. And then Vyasa then transfers the entire Srimad Bhagavatam to him. So this stanza talks about how Krishna is he's walking into the forest with with a peacock feather in his head, with the blue karnika flowers on his ears, wearing a pitambaram, wearing a yellow garment in his bottom, and then wearing a Vaijayanti garland, wearing a forest flowers. And in this transcendental form of his, he's then standing under a tree and playing his Venuganam. So when he plays that Venuganam, everything comes to a standstill, right? And then with this, in this form of Krishna, when Vedavyasa describes in the stanza, and when Shuka Brahmam is imagining that, he has to come out because there's no way somebody can say no to that form of Krishna and then the vibrations which are coming out from the Venugana. So that's why it is so important. So that this is exactly this, Bhattacharya is condensed this and saying that you then would go to the forest of Krishna, stand cross-legged. You all would have seen the lot of photos of Krishna standing cross-legged under the tree, right? So it's all coming from the source. There's a source. Nobody would just paint something like that, right? So that's the source. So Krishna is standing cross-legged under the forest tree, wearing this Vaijayanti garland, wearing this Pitambaram, wearing the Karnika flowers, and then playing his Venuganam under the tree.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps, Rajeshji. I just asked you about the wild animals. You said if you chant this particular shloka, none of the wild animals is going to hurt you. So
Yes.
no way. Yeah, that's why there are wild animals then. They're not going to hurt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Literature says Vrindavan is no, it is a sacred town rather than a dense wildlife forest. So the animals are more domestic and semi-wild.
Yeah. So, Kananantam itavan, I'm just breaking it me there. Kananantam itavan bhavanapi, comma, snigdha padapa tale manorame vyatyayakalita padam astitah. So I'm just breaking it down. Padam astitah, comma, pratyapurayata venunalikam. कान्हनान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्ययाकलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम्.
काननान्दमिदवान् भवानभि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्ययाकलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयद वेणुनालिकाम्. काननान्दमिदवान् भवानभि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्ययाकलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयद वेणुनालिकाम्.
काननान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्ययाकलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम्. काननान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्ययाकलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम्.
Rajesh ji, Bhagavatam shlokam number and chapter enna?
I think 10.21.5. So 10th canto, 21st chapter, 5th stanza. I'll paste it in the group after the class. Sounds fine. मारबाणधुतखेचरीकुलं निर्विकार पशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितम्. So it says even the greatest of the gopikas who are divine beings, right, who have actually, because to get a chance to incarnate and spend time with Krishna, you can't just be a mortal, normal mortal. And we saw how the wives of the demigods who had continued to serve or wanted to serve the Bhagavan become the gopikas. So even they are divine. So they don't have this concept of what do you call the love like we have, right? Because they're divine. It's all spiritual for them. But even for somebody like that, it will make them fall in love with some Krishna because of the Venu Ghanam which is coming, because it hits them right in the heart, and even they then fall in love listening to this because they are all devoid of all of these material things. But this sound vibration is such that even they fall in love with it. And then it talks about how Pashu Pakshi Mandalam, all the animals and the birds, it says everything, like I was telling earlier, it comes to a stop. When Krishna plays the Venu Ganam, it all comes to a stop. And it is such a point, it says even the rocks of Vrindavan used to melt listening to the Venu Ganam and the vibrations coming out of Krishna. Mara Bana Dhuta Khechari Kulam, Nirvikara Pashu Pakshi Mandalam द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो, तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितम्. मारबाणधुतखेचरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितम्.
मारबाणधुतकेजरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितम्. मारबाणधुतकेजरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितम्.
मारबाणधुतकीचरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितम्. मारबाणधुतकीचरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितम्.
The sixth. Venurandratalalangulidalam Tala Sanchalitapadapallavam Tatstitam tava parokshamapyaho samvichintya mumuhur brajanganaha. And Krishna also used to amplify it with his style, right? Now, he could have just stood normally and played his Venugana. But because he stands in a particular posture with his cross legs, standing under the tree, well, what do you call, well decorated and, well dressed and everything. So that all that adds to that thing. And this Gopikas used to constantly keep thinking about that form of Krishna in their mind, right? And that's what they used to constantly be thinking about. When Krishna was not there, they used to imagine Krishna standing like that under the tree, imagine that form, and then keep talking with each other. And mumuhur means they are falling into a state of ecstasy by just thinking about that form of Krishna non-stop in their minds. Venu Randhra, and then Tarala Anguli means when Krishna, they imagine the form of Krishna is moving his fingers over the holes of the flute to then get out that sound. So Venu Randhra Taralanguli Dalam, comma, Tala Sanchalita Pada Pallavam. So Talam, according to the music, he used to pat his feet also at the same time. Tala Sanchalita Pada Pallavam. Tat Stitam Tava Parokshamapyaho, comma, Samvichintyam Mumuhur Vrajanganaha. Venurandhataralangulidalam Tala Sanchalita Pada Pallavam. Tatstitam Tava Parokshamapyaho Samvichintya Mumuhur Vrajanganaha.
Venurandrataralangulidalam Tala-sanjaliത-পাদ-পল্লবம் Tatstidam Tava Parokshamapyaho Samvichintya Mumuhurvrajanganaha. Venurandrataralangulidalam Tala-sanjaliത-পাদ-পল্লবம் Tatstidam Tava Parokshamapyaho Samvichintya Mumuhurvrajanganaha.
वेणुरन्ध्रतरलाङ्गुलीदलं तालसञ्चलितपादपल्लवं तस्थितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो संविचिन्त्य मुमुहुर्व्रजाङ्गनाः वेणुरन्ध्रतरलाङ्गुलीदलं तालसञ्चलितपादपल्लवं तस्थितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो संविचिन्त्य मुमुहुर्व्रजाङ्गनाः.
So தாளம் தப்பா தாளம் தான் correct word. For the tala, right? The rhythm. Tala தான் correct. Tala.
Original Sanskrit la irukla. It was only la. Original version of Sanskrit. And then later on, the la got added. So later on, they might have changed talam. But in the original Sanskrit is talam. Like kali, not kali. Right? And they have same concept. Stanza 7. Nirvishanka bhavadangha darshinihi khechari khagamrigan pashunapi tvatpada pranayikananam chataha dhanya dhanyamiti nanvamanayan. So when you're such a religious or, you're so spiritual and everything, you're not supposed to feel jealous of others. But there's always an exception where you can feel jealous. And that is if some other devotee has got such a great opportunity to spend more time with Bhagavan. And you should not feel jealous that why is he getting more? He should not get more. It should be more like, I also want similar opportunity. Let the devotee also get, I also should get more opportunities, right? So here the Gopikas are saying, we are not getting so much chance to see Krishna playing the flute. But imagine the cows which are there. The cows, they are always along with Krishna. Anytime Krishna is playing the flute, the cows are there. And they say these cows are not even as, conscious as we are. But we are not getting a chance. The cows are getting a chance. Then they talk about how the deers in the forest who have bigger ears. So because the deers have bigger ears, they see more of Krishna's flute goes inside them. So they are so lucky that they can, absorb more of the vibrations which are coming from Krishna's flute. Then they talk about how the birds are lucky because the birds can climb up on the tree and they can get an aerial view of Krishna while we can only see Krishna this way, right? So with this, they talk about, all the forest, all the animals which are there in the forest and, everybody who was different. And again, they are also jealous of Govardhana, like we spoke about earlier. This is Govardhana can do so much service to Krishna, because he has water from where Krishna drinks. He has the grass where Krishna takes them to go mow the animals. He has a cave where Krishna can rest, and we are not able to serve Krishna enough. Right? So with this, they compare how all the things in the forest and everybody is so lucky and fortunate that they are being able to be more close to Krishna than the Gopikas are. Nirvishankar Bhavadanga Darshinihi, long E, Visarga, comma, Kecharihi, put a eh, Kechari, Khaga, Mrigan, Pashunapi, Twat Pada, Pranayi, Kananam Chataha, comma, Dhanya, Dhanyamiti, Nanvamanaya. Dhanya, they're very fortunate. Nirvishanka Bhavadanga Darshinihi, Kechari, Khagamrigan, Pashunapi, Twatpada Pranahi Kananam Chataha, Dhanya Dhanyamiti Nanvamanayan.
Nirvishanga Bhavadanga Darshinihi, Kejari Khagamragan Pashunapi, Vatpada Pranayikananam Chataha, Dhanya Dhanya Midinan Vamanayan. Nirvishanga Bhavadanga Darshinihi, Kejari Khagamragan Pashunapi, Vatpada Pranayikananam Chataha, Dhanya Dhanya Midinan Vamanayan.
निर्विशङ्खभवदङ्गदर्शिनीः खेचरी खगमृगान् पशूनपि त्वत्पदप्रणयिकाननं च ताः धन्यधन्यमिति नन्वमानयन् निर्विशङ्खभवदङ्गदर्शिनीः खेचरी खगमृगान् पशूनपि त्वत्पदप्रणयिकाननं च ताः Dhanya Dhanyamiti Nanvamanayan.
Stanza 8. We'll just switch. Sorry, it's a halfway point. Jyoti Chandran can be a student and Padmaja Mekundam can be a student. Stanza 8. Apibheya Madaramritam Kadha Venubhukta Rasasheshame Kadha Durato Patakritam Durashahetya Muhurima Samamuhan. So once they felt jealous about all the animals and everybody else which are there, so then they think, who's more luckier than the animals and the birds and the trees and the Govardhana of Vrindavan? They say the most luckiest is the flute itself, of course, because Krishna is holding that flute. Krishna is putting the flute to his mouth. He says the flutes are extremely lucky. The flute. Then they say, but the flute, not only the flute, but the bamboo tree from which the flute came. The bamboo tree is lucky. He says the forefathers of the bamboo trees, which, things fell on the ground and then the Yamuna watered the tree or whatever, and then the entire thing comes up. He says all of them are lucky because, that bamboo from which the Pullangul and the flute has come is extremely fortunate as well. Because if not for that, how would Krishna play it? Right, so that's what they're saying. So, Advai, I message, I want you to sing that one stanza of the Pallavi of that song, which talks about the Moongil from which the Pullanguril comes. Puparilla, who stanza?
Yeah, I also remembered another beautiful song, Gana Murte. Sri Krishna Venu Gana Lola, Tribhuvana Pala Pahi. ரொம்ப அழகான பாட்டு அதுவும் வேணுகானத்தை பற்றி கிருஷ்ணரோடது.
Okay.
புல்லாங்குழல் கொடுத்த மூங்கில்களே எங்கள் புருஷோத்தமன் புகழ் பாடுங்களேன், வண்டாடும் கங்கை மலர் தோட்டங்களே எங்கள் மதுசூதனன் புகழ் பாடுங்களேன், புல்லாங்குழல் கொடுத்த மூங்கில்களே பன்னீர் மலர் சொரியும் மேகங்களே எங்கள் பரந்தாமன் மெய்யழகை பாடுங்களேன், பன்னீர் மலர் சொரியும் மேகங்களே எங்கள் பரந்தாமன் மெய்யழகை பாடுங்களேன், தென்கோடி தென்றல் தரும் ராகங்களே எங்கள் ஸ்ரீ கிருஷ்ணமூர்த்தி புகழ் பாடுங்களேன், எங்கள் ஸ்ரீ கிருஷ்ணமூர்த்தி புகழ் பாடுங்களேன்.
Thank you, Vinod. So lovely. I know for some of you who don't understand Tamil, it's talking about the Pulangural, the flute. It says how lucky that is, and thanks for that because anyway, same thing here. And thanks, Minu, very nicely. Such a beautiful song, so and it's very apt, and the stanza is apt for today's class. So, apibheyam adharamritam kada, comma, venu bhukta rasa sheshamekada, durato bata kritam durashayet yakula. So we're going to put a plus there. Durashayet yakula. In case you have durashayeti akula, they have just separated it, so you can just join it. It becomes durashayet yakula muhurimaha. Put a is muhurimas samamuhan. आपिबेयमधरामृतं कथा वेणुभुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरतो बत कृतं दुराशयेत्याकुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन्.
Yeah, Minu, that was very beautiful. Okay. आपिबेयमधरामृतं कदा वेणुभुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरतो बत कृतं दुराशयेत्याकुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन्. आपिबेयमधरामृतं कदा वेणुभुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरतो बत कृतं दुराशयेत्याकुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन्.
आपिबेयमधरामृतं कदा वेणुमुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरतो बत कृतं दुराशयेत्यकुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन्.
Yeah, that the it when it's coming in that second line, that's where you can kind of bring it down, and that's a halfway point. Durashayetyakula.
Okay. आपिबेयमधरामृतं कदा वेणुमुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरतो बत कृतं दुराशयेत्य कुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन्. I did not.
I think I say that durato batakritam durashayetyakula. So that's a halfway point. So there you just lift it up a little, it'll come. That's okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's a nice. Pratyaham cha punarittamanganaha chittayo nijanitadanugrahat baddharaga vivashastvahi prabho nityamapuriha kritya mudhatam. 9 and 10 are a little bit connected. So it says with this every day, right, the gopikas are getting more and more attached towards you, right? They say you should not get attached towards things, right? Anything you should not get attached, because the moment you take the thing away, it causes unhappiness, right? But however, in Gopika's case, they were going in the opposite direction. Instead of staying away from things, they were getting more and more closer to you, Krishna, and they were really becoming, indifferent to everything else that was happening, because all they cared about and all they thought about was always they were thinking about you. Pratyaham cha punarittam anganaha. I'm just breaking at that ma. Punarittam anganaha. That ish goes away. Visarga comma. Chitta yoni janitad anugrahat. If you want to break it, the da janitad anugrahat. Baddha raga vivashas tvayi prabho, comma, nityamapuriha kritya mudhatam. Pratyaham cha punarittamanganaha chittayo nijanitadanugrahat baddharaga vivashas tvayi prabho nityamapuriha kritya mudhatam.
प्रत्यहं च पुनरित्थमङ्गनाः चित्तयो निजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशास्त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढदाम्. प्रत्यहं च पुनरित्थमङ्गनाः चित्तयो निजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशास्त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढदाम्.
प्रत्यहं च पुनरिद्धमङ्गनाः चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशास् त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढताम् प्रत्यहं च पुनरिद्धमङ्गनाः चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशास् त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढताम्.
Stanza 10. This takes a different tune. रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्नतस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासां त्वेकं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मारुतेश. I was teaching Kapilopadesham yesterday, and if you remember Dasakam 15, first stanza, it says Matiriha Gunasakta Bandhakriteshva Sakta. So it says that attachment to something brings everybody happiness. Doesn't matter, it could be people, it could be things. Which means when that thing is taken away, you feel disappointed or you feel sorrow. Right? He says, but it is not about the object, and this one talks about how it's your mind. It's all controllable, and it says you have to keep your mind under control. That's what the Kapilopadesham says in the first stanza here. So here, Bhattirpad is playing on that, saying attachment is something that comes to all of us naturally, right? When you're a 2-year-old child, you get attached to a toy. Attachment is something that comes very easily. But for liberation, what you want is you want non-attachment to things, which is extremely hard for humans to do, is not to get attached to anything. It is just not intrinsic for us. But if attachment to something can give you liberation, which is kind of the opposite of what I said, then that is the easiest path, right? Because attachment just comes inherently. Says by getting attached to Krishna so much, these gopikas are going to get liberated. So bhagyam, they're just so blessed because they're attached to the right thing. And that getting attached also is coming very naturally for them because Krishna is around them. And so, but I think they're so fortunate, those gopikas, that they're spending so much time with Krishna and then they're getting more attached to him. Ragas tavaj jayate hi swabhavat. Put it at the end of that line, comma. Next line, if you have an in, that will go away. Mokshopayo yat nataha. Put is yat natas. Syan navasyat. Tasam tvekam tad dvayam labdhamasit. Labdham is very easy. Labdhamasit, comma. Bhagyam pahima marutesha. Ragastavad hi swabhavat mokshopayo yatna tasya va syat tasam tvekam tadvayam labdhamasit bhagyam pahima marutesha.
यागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्न तस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासां त्वेगं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुतेश रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्न तस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासां त्वेगं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुदेश. श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे. Oh, so
The last marutesha, no R.
okay, so okay, yeah. Bhagyam bhagyam pahi mam marutesha. Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
Last line, bhagyam bhagyam pahi mam.
Marutesha. You have something else?
Yeah, so yeah, different.
Okay, can you change it to Marutesha? Referring to Guru Ayappan.
Pahi mam marutesha.
Yeah, one Pahi only. Bhagyam Pahi mam Marutesha.
Ragastha, can you say, tune?
Ragastava hi swabhavat.
रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्न तस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासां त्वेकं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुतेश रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्नतस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासां त्वेकं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुतेश
Shri Krishnaya
कृष्णाय
Parabrahmane.
परमात्मने नमः
Dashakam 60. Gopi Vastrapa Harana Varnanam. So stating the clothes of the Gopikas. It's a very powerful chapter actually to understand why I don't think, but we are running very late today, so I don't think I'll be able to complete it. So we'll probably have to end up halfway on this. But stanza 1. Madanaturachetasonvaham bhavadangridvayadasya kamyaya yamuna tatasim nisaikatim taralakshyo girijam samharchichan. So, like I said, there are different Gopikas are of all ages. They are from the small. Krishna is 7 years old at this time, right? So there are Gopikas who are younger than Krishna. There are Gopikas who are his age. Gopikas just very loosely refers to the woman of Brajabhumi, right? There are people who are grandmothers, people who are mothers. So it's all kinds, right? But everybody is in love with Krishna, like we saw in the previous one. But this one is specifically talking about those girls who are not yet married. Okay, so this is talking about these younger girls, Gopikas, who are not yet married, and so they all want to, they all want to marry you, O Krishna, right? And so they all go and do. This is happening in the Margari Masam in Tamil Nadu. They say in the November to December time period, right? Which is there. So at this Margashirisam month, what they do is they all go and observe a vow towards Katyayani, towards Parvati, saying that they all want to get married to the right person. This is a Shiva Parvati perfect couple. So we'll go pray to Parvati, right? That we also get a husband like how Parvati got Shiva. We want to get Krishna. So so what they do is they observe that for 1 month. So every day they used to go to the banks of the Yamuna River, and then because they used to make that clay image of Parvati there on the banks, and then they used to worship it with whatever they have.
Rajesh, one quick question. So instead of praying Parvati, whose husband is Shiva, why can't they pray like Lakshmi? Because her husband is Krishna, right?
See, they don't know that. Number one. Okay. And in general, the Parvati, and in a lot of places, the Parvati Shiva is considered like the ideal couple for any number of reasons, right? So because when Devahuti is serving Kardama, Kapila's for Kapilo Pakyanam also, when they say she served Kapila like how Bhavani serves Shiva. So they kind of always refer to Shiva Parvati like as that ideal, because they're kind of, ரெண்டு பேரும் the equal and they contribute அந்த மாதிரி. So that is the general reference. And even later on, we're going to see when Krishna's grandson's to be wife, she wants to marry somebody. So at that time, she'll pray to Parvati, and Parvati will say, "You pray to me," or she'll go till Parvati and she'll pray to Parvati to get a husband like Shiva. So that seems to be like general trend, మదనాతుర చేతసోన్వహం భవదంగ్రి ద్వయ దాస్య కామ్యయ యమునా తట సీమ్ని సైకతీం తరళాక్ష్యో గిరిజాం సమార్చిచన్. మదనాతుర చేతసోన్వహం భవదంగ్రి ద్వయ దాస్య కామ్యయ యమునా తట సీమ్ని సైకతీం Taralakshyo Girijam Samharchichan.
Madanaturachetasonyaham bhavadankri dvayadasya kamya yamuna tadasim nisaikatim taralachyo girijam samarchichan.
Good, Jyoti, the first line, Chetason Vaham.
Yeah, Madanaturachetasonyaham. Correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Madanaturachetasonyaham bhavadankri dvayadasya kamya yamuna tadasim nisaikatim taralachyo girijam samarchichan.
मदनातुरचेतसोऽन्वहं भवदङ्घ्रिद्वयदास्य काम्यया यमुनातटसीं निसैकतीं तरलाक्ष्यो गिरिजां समार्चिचन् मदनातुरचेतसोऽन्वहं भवदङ्घ्रिद्वयदास्य काम्यया यमुनातटसीं निसैकतीं तरलाक्ष्यो गिरिजां समार्चिचन्.
That's it. तव नाम कथागता समं सदृशः प्रातरुपागता नदीम् उपहारशतैरपूजयन् दयितो नन्दसुतो भवेदिति. Every morning consistently for 28 days or 30 days they used to go in the morning, prepare this, and then whatever flowers were available they used to use that to worship. And then they used to always think about you, Krishna, when they are worshipping Parvati, because they want to marry you. So they used to always have you in their minds. And Daito Nanda Sutho Bhavediti. They say, we want to marry Nanda, the son of Nanda Gopa, which is Krishna. That is their only prayer. They're doing that entire Katyayani Vratam for that. And there's one very small stanza here, which the Gopikas chant, which is Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayoginya Dhishwari Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi Patim Me Kurute Namaha. So we want Nanda Gopa's son to be our pati. We want him to be our husband, right? And then they go do this for a month. Tava Nama Katha Rataha, put a is Rata Samam, comma, Sadrishaha, put a F, Sadrishah Pratar Upagata Nadim Upahara Shataira Pujayan, comma, Daito Nandasuto Bhavediti.
Actually,
Tavanam.
என்னோட bookல சுத்ருஷகன் இருக்கு.
Sudrushaha, sorry if I said something else. Yeah, Sudrushaha is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Tavanama Katharata Samham Sudrushah Pratarupagata Nadhim Upahara Shataiha Pujayan Daito Nandasuto Bhavediti.
तव नाम कथारता समं सुदृशः प्रातरुपागदा नदी उपहारशतैरपूजयन् दयितो नन्दसुतो भवेदिति तव नाम कथारदा समं सुदृशः प्रातरुपागदा नदीम् उपहारशतैरपूजयन् दयितो नन्दसुतो भवेदिति
तव नाम कथारताः समं सुदृशः प्रातरुपागता नदीम् उपहारशतैरपूजयन् दयितो नन्दसुतो भवेदिति तव नाम कथारताः समं सुदृशः प्रातरुपागता नदीम् उपहारशतैरपूजयन् दयितो नन्दसुतो भवेदिति.
Ansatri. Itima samupahita vrataha taralakshira bhivikshata bhavan karuna mrudulo nadhi tatam samayasi tadanugrahe chaya. So everybody knew that these girls are observing this vow for a month, right? And finally that month end was coming up where they've been following it for the month. And on the last day, Krishna then, who knows about this, says, you know what? It's time for me to go bless these Gopika girls. He's not going to marry them. Krishna knows, but the Gopikas don't know that, right? So he says, I still have to go bless these Gopika girls. And so he then decides to go there to the banks of Yamuna on the last day. Iti masam upahita vrataha. The is goes away. Tharalakshir. So the ra breaking to ir and a. Tharalakshir abhivikshya ta bhavan. Karuna mrudulo nadi tatam, comma. Samayasit. So there's a it and a tha there. I'm just breaking at that it. Samayasit tad anugrahe chaya. Itima samupahita vrataha तरलाक्षीरभिवीक्ष्यता भवान् करुणामृदुलो नदीतटं समयासीत् तदनुग्रहेच्छया
इति मा समुपाहितव्रताः तरलाक्षीरभिवीक्ष्यता भवान् करुणामृदुलो नदीतटं समयासीत् तदनुग्रहेच्छया इति मा समुपाहितव्रताः तरलाक्षीरभिवीक्ष्यता भवान् करुणामृदुलो नदीतटं समयासीत् तदनुग्रहेच्छया
इति मासमुपाहितव्रताः तरलाक्षिरभिवीक्ष्यता भवान् करुणामृदुलो नदीतटं समयासीत् तदनुग्रहेच्छया इति मासमुपाहितव्रताः तरलाक्षिरभिवीक्ष्यता भवान् करुणामृदुलो नदीतटं समयासीत् तदनुग्रहेच्छया.
That's about नियमावसितौ निजाम्बरं तटसीमन्यवमुच्यतास्तथा यमुना जलखेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वाम् अवलोक्य लज्जिताः. So, generally when you do like saptaham or something, at the end, you go take a dip in the waters. It's called as a avabhrata snanam, where you go take a final full bath in the river. So the Gopikas have completed this vow, Katyayani is vow. So they said today is the avabhrata snanam for us. So they all want to go get into the waters of Yamuna. So they leave all their clothes on the banks and then they go get into the waters. After they get into the waters and after some time, suddenly they look and then they see Puratastwam, they're seeing you, Krishna, standing in front. So they all get very embarrassed because they've been praying all these days to marry Krishna. And now that boy itself is coming and standing in front of them. So the girls are getting very embarrassed to see Krishna in front. Niyam avasithau nijambaram, comma, tata simanyavamuchya. That's one word. Tata simanyavamuchya tastada yamuna jala खेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वाम् अवलोक्य लज्जिताः नियमावसितौ निजाम्भरं तटसीमन्यवमुच्यतास्तथा यमुना जलखेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वाम् अवलोक्य लज्जिताः
नियमावसितौ निजाम्बरं तडसीमन्यवमुच्यतास्तदा यमुना जलखेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वामवलोक्य लज्जिताः नियमावसितौ निजाम्बरं तडसीमन्यवमुच्यतास्तदा यमुना जलखेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वामवलोक्य लज्जिताः
नियमावसितौ निजाम्बरं तटसीमन्यवमुच्य तटसीमन्यवमुच्यतास्तदा यमुना जलखेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वाम् अवलोक्य लज्जिताः नियमावसितौ निजाम्बरं तटसीमन्यवमुच्यतास्तदा यमुना जलखेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वाम् अवलोक्य लज्जिताः.
Sensapai Trapahyanamitanhanaswato Vanita Swambarajalamantike Nihitam Parigrahya Bhuruho Bitapam Tvam Tarasadhirudhavan. You kind of think of what the clothes mean to us. Just got several meanings, right? One is we all wear clothes to cover our body because we feel very ashamed to go out, right? Just kind of cover, protect, dignity, however you want to think about it. That's one reason you wear clothes. The second is people also wear different kinds of clothes to show how rich or how great they are. So it's a little bit of ego and pride, which is actually there in all the clothes that people wear, right? So there's so many ways you can kind of think of it, right? Of that clothes, there's a little bit of shyness to it. There's an ego built into it. There's a pride which is actually built into it. It shows the greatness or aristocracy, right, of your birth and everything. All of this is kept in your clothes. That's what your clothes are meaning, right, indirectly. So these girls have kept their clothes here. And so when they're sitting there, Krishna suddenly comes there and he then grabs all their clothes and then he climbs up on top of the tree with all of their clothes. Trapaya namitana naswatho. One word cannot break it. Namitana naswatho, comma. Vanita swambara jalam antike. Nihitam parigrihya bhuruho, comma. Bitapam tvam tarasadhi rudhavan. Trapaya namitanaswato vanita swambarajalamantique nihitam parigrihya bhuruho bitapam tvam tarasadhirudhavan.
प्रपयानमितानना स्वधो वनिता स्वम्बरजालमन्तिके निहितं परिगृह्य भूरुहो विडपं त्वं तरसाधिरूढवान् प्रभयानमितानना स्वधो वनिता स्वम्बरजालमन्तिके निहितं परिगृह्य भूरुहो विडपं त्वं तरसाधिरूढवान्
त्रपया समिताननानस्वथो वनिता स्वम्बरजालमन्तिके निहितं परिगृह्य भूरुहो विटपं त्वं तरसाधिरूढवान्.
First line, Padmini Garu. Namitana naswato.
Yeah. Trapaya namitananaswatho vanita swambarajalamantique nihitam parigruhya bhuruho vitapam tvam tarasadhirudhavan.
Stanza 6. Ihata vadupetyahiyatam vasanam vasudrusho yathayatam iti narma mridusmite tvahi bruvate vyamumuhe vadhujanaihi. So then Krishna then tells those girls, because he's grabbed his clothes right now. So he says that each of you can come here, right? You come out of the water and then I will give you your respective clothes. And he says, I am not joking. I am not the kind who's going to joke around here. So I seriously mean it, right? You can actually come here. But the girls, they say Krishna is 7 years old, right? Any boy who says like that, people always tend to ignore, saying he's just kidding. So they also start laughing, saying they ignore what he's saying that, how can he expect us to come out naked and then come and grab the clothes? So he's just kidding, and they all ignore what he says. Iha tavat upetya niyatam, comma, vasanam vaha, put is vas sudrusho yatha yatham iti narma mridu smite tvayi, comma. So Krishna also says it with a smile on his face. So very jokingly he says it. So they also think he's just kidding. Tvayi, comma, bruvati vyamumuhe vadhu janaihi. Ihata vadupetyanhiyatam vasanam vasudrusho yathayatam iti narma mridusmithe tvahi bruvate vyamumuhe vadhu janaihi.
तथावदुपेत्य वसनं सुदृशो यथा यथम् इति नर्ममृदुस्मिते त्वयि ब्रुवति व्यामुमुहे वधूजनैः इह तावदुपेत्य नीयतां वसनं सुदृशो यथा यथम् इति नर्ममृदुस्मिते त्वयि ब्रुवति व्यामुमुहे वधूजनैः.
Second word, vasanam was sudrushona.
Yeah.
Okay. इह तावदुपेत्य नियतां वसनं वसुदृशो यथा यथम् इति नर्म मृदुस्मिते त्वयि ब्रुवति व्यामुमुहे वधूजनैः इह तावदुपेत्य नियतां वसनं वसुदृशो यथा यथम् इति नर्म मृदोस्मिते त्वयि ब्रुवति व्यामुमुहे वधूजनैः.
Answer 7. Ahi jiva chiram kishoranastava kim pradishambaramambuje kshanetyuditastvam smitameva dattavan. So when the gopikas ignore him initially, right? But then you can stay in the water for some time, right? But then you stay for too long, it starts getting cold. Especially when you know you have to come out and you don't have an option of coming out, it feels extra cold. So the gopikas, they stay there, and then suddenly at one point they are not able to bear it. They have to come out right now. They're feeling cold. So they tell Krishna, oh Kishora, oh boy, he says, look, Nandagopa is the boss, right? So all of their parents kind of work for Nandagopa. So they say, we are all like servants to you, so like you can't we will do whatever you want, but give us our clothes because we want to come out of the water. So they first say that Krishna doesn't do anything. Then they try to threaten him next. They say that we're going to go complain to your father. If you don't do this, we're going to go complain. So you better throw all of our clothes out right now. Ai jiva chiram kishora nas, put a plus, tava dasira vashi karoshi kim. So that line is together. Pradishambaram, breaking at that ma, im and a. Pradishambaram ambujekshanet yuditas. So same thing, we're going to join those two lines. So ambujekshanet yuditas tvam smitameva dattavan. Ai jiva chiram kishoranastava karoshi kim pradishambaramambujekshanetyuditastvam smitameva dattavan.
अयि जीवचिरं किशोरनस्तवदासीरवशीकरोषि किम् प्रदिशाम्बरमम्बुजेक्षणेत्युदितस्त्वं स्मितमेव दत्तवान् अयि जीवचिरं किशोरनस्तवदासीरवशीकरोषि किम् प्रदिशाम्बरमम्बुजेक्षणेत्युदितस्त्वं स्मितमेव दत्तवान्
अयि जीवचिरं किशोरनस्तव दासीरवशीकरोषि किम् प्रदिशाम्बरम् अम्बुजेक्षणेत्युदितस्त्वं स्मितमेव दत्तवान्.
The first line, Pratmila Garu, that nas after that nas is the halfway point, okay?
Nas tava.
Yeah.
अयि जीवचिरं किशोरनस्तव दासीरवशीकरोषि किम् वशीकरोषि किम् प्रदिशाम्बरम् अम्बुजेक्षणेत्युदितस्त्वं स्मितमेव दत्तवान्.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha in the class here today. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurusharthatmakam brahmatattvam tattavad bhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam kahena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmi narayanahi samarpayami.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
And Meenu also, she did.
Thank
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye. Bye, Meena. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.